sharp. So Rolo, you first.
I'll do my best. First of all, Nick, happy to have you here. I think you're very intelligent, very funny person. I've been thinking for a while, I've been sort of wondering why Catholicism is so important to your movement, because from my perspective, it doesn't necessarily seem something that's integral to what the Groypers are saying. You can have immigration restriction without Catholicism. You can have American nationalism without Catholicism. And it's also something that, unlike a lot of other things that the Groypers push for, is not wholly yours. Like Biden was a Catholic. You have lots of Catholic leftists who work for the NGOs who bring immigrants in. And I've even seen, like the Baptards, they kind of have tried to co-opt Christianity in their weird ways. So, and I don't see it necessarily come up so often in your live stream. So why is Catholicism this thing to hang on to?
Because it's the truth. We believe it's the truth. I believe it's the truth. And, ultimately, I think I do agree. I think it was, I don't know if it was Carl Schmitt or there's a quote I half remember, but they said basically that there's three religions left. There's liberalism, Marxism, and Catholicism. And I think those are really the only places you can go. I think you can really lean into a form of liberalism or you become a Catholic. And I think that if you're speaking purely in terms of politics, it is kind of like our answer to something like Zionism. Catholicism answers a lot of the questions about democracy, liberalism, the social degeneracy and decay, but it also answers the question about, whether we're going to have Jewish people run our government. And I think, they are the exceptional entity. Like they are clearly different. And if you are a liberal, if you're really anything other than a Catholic, you would say something like there are a conspicuously successful minority group, a stateless group, but that doesn't quite do it justice. That doesn't quite explain the situation. And that's also why a lot of non-Catholics are actually far more tolerant. They look at Jewish people as sort of like, well, they're high IQ and you got to watch out for them. Like they're pretty much out for their own group or Israel or something. But, they're pretty right wing and Israel's nationalistic. And that has actually given a lot of the BAP people over to overlooking the Straussian infiltration, overlooking, how people like, who is it? Eric Prince and all these others are connected to these Unit 8200 intel companies. They look at these guys and say, oh, well, Jewish people are rich and powerful, and that's kind of because they're smart. So if you're powerful, you're going to overlap with them. Catholics would say, no, they, along with we are the main characters. They're going to be around forever, and they kind of are the antagonist. And so, it almost meets perfectly. I believe that's because it's the truth. But if you were to argue on the basis of like its utility, I'd say that that's really kind of the only place you can go talking about modernity, democracy, the Jewish situation. And, as people point out, it is inadequate. Totally. If you were trying to embrace something that would bolster white nationalism, Catholicism would not be the go-to.